There, another story we've been watching all year long in 2016 is the real estate market. What is going on with the market? Is there a bubble? Is that bubble about to burst? Should you buy? Should you sell? Well, you know what, Drex? A couple of months ago, I had a guy on my show. His name is Ross Kay. He's the founder of Ross Kay Realty Consultants. He's the creator of the Wealthy Homeowner Programs. And he said to me that he is tracking, using some metrics to be able to determine when the market's really going to slow down, when that bubble might actually burst. He said he'd get in touch with me when he had some news to report on that front.
And he's on hold right now?
He is.
Well, that can only mean one thing, Linda.
Yeah, I don't know. Ross Kay is on the line. Hi, Ross.
Hi, Linda. How are you?
I'm good, and I'm dying to know what your news is.
Well, what the news is I promised to give you a call back when we had monitored signs of Vancouver trending towards the negative. And by all accounts, now that we have a corroboration against our provincial numbers, Vancouver is now headed towards its eventual correction.
What does that mean, correction?
Okay, so every housing market has to have a deflationary period at some time. Housing prices don't go up forever. And it's the natural cycle of a housing market. And a correction happens after a series of trading cycles have finished, where the magnitude, in other words, the speed and how high the price has grown, can no longer be sustained by any normal fundamental. So in Vancouver, what that simply means is that the only way the last few months housing prices continued to increase was because of previous increases homeowners had already experienced. They were no longer paying down their mortgage debt at a rapid enough rate to make house price gains legitimate. House price gains are simply an illusion. It's simply built on a previous house price gain.
Earlier this month, a couple of weeks back, I had a chance to chat with notorious short teller Mark Cahodes. You probably heard of this guy. And he told us that when the bubble bursts, he thinks it's going to be quite large. In fact, listen to this.
I think 50 to 80 to get things back to where they were before this insanity started.
You think it'll be that high?
Well, if the average family makes $80,000 a year, multiply that by 5 and you get $400,000, and that's about where you're at. That's about where it should be.
Yeah.
I mean, no one making $80,000 a year can afford $1 million place.
Yeah, true.
That's for sure. So you have to make things affordable.
So Mark Cahodes is talking about a correction of up to 80%, which sounds insane. What are you predicting, Ross Kay?
Yeah, you're not going to see an 80%. And what Mark is talking about, he's talking about the first-time buyer segment. Obviously, if someone owned a home in May of 2013 that was worth $730,000, and that house is now worth $1 million, that means they put away $275,000 in equity growth. So for that buyer, these old metrics that everyone talks about, the economists throw out over and over again about income to house price ratio, that's only relevant to the first-time buyer. And this is not what we're talking about here. A housing market correction wipes out equity of existing owners. So that owner who owned that home back in 2013 at $275,000, now worth $1 million, that's where the risk is. They have a risk of their net worth being wiped out by $250,000 on a simple 37% correction.
So just to be clear, are you talking about a correction? Does that mean the bubble is about to burst?
Bubbles always burst. So corrections always take place. What's happened here in Vancouver, because of a series of circumstances, is the bubbles got really, really large. So in other words, a short period of deflation in housing prices or stagnation where housing prices stay level for a period of time is not going to wipe out the size of the bubble. So there's an actual popping of the bubble that's needed to get housing prices back to a realistic level, certainly for first-time buyers.
Ross, let me ask you this question. With this correction coming, who are the winners and who are the losers here?
Well, the winners are everybody who's going to be in their house for longer than 15 years. So you're going to be okay. Anybody who's going to be buying a house, and if they time the market properly and they buy at the end of the trading cycle, not at the top of it like you are right now, then you're going to be able to capitalize on getting a house at a lower price, and that's going to offset any pay down you may have benefited from versus renting for a couple of years. If I was to ask you folks, how much do you think the average Vancouver home has gone up in the last year? What is being reported in the papers?
Well, it's going up as high as 60%,
yeah,
I think.
I think the last report is year on year, it's 36% up, I think.
Right. So here's a factual number. The average selling price in Vancouver has only gone up 16.61% in the last 12 months. That is a factual number. And that number means that the average selling price today is $1,002,891. And a year ago, I'll go back to my chart here, it was about $850,000.
And that makes sense too, because I remember us about a year ago trying to find the cheapest possible detached home in Vancouver, and I think the price was $795,000. So I would say your prediction's probably on point.
Yeah,
so for anyone,
you've got all of these house pumpers up there telling you it's 37%. I heard Royal LePage come out with a report last week where it was some astronomical gain. That number that they give you is a mathematical impossibility. So what we do is we go with facts, we go with the data, we go with where the market is headed. So when we're telling you today that both provincially across British Columbia and in Vancouver, house prices have increased exactly 37% from the time this trading cycle began. It's exactly the same in both province-wide across British Columbia as it is in Vancouver. The only difference is Vancouver started out at about $230,000 higher way back in May of 2013 than the rest of the province was.
All right, Ross, we got to let you go. We'll see if you're right. Thanks so much for this information.
Thanks a lot. You have a great day.
You too. That's Ross Kay, founder of Ross Kay Realty Consultants and creator of the Wealthy Homeowner Programs. And Ross Kay 3 months ago said, hey, I'll give you a call if the bubble's about to burst.
All right, so